Our MC Shia is the sole survivor of a tragic plane crash, leaving him to wander the dense forest in a desperate search for water. Apparently, the crash had also claimed the lives of his parents, leaving him completely alone. Just as his body reaches its limit and he begins to black out, a one-eyed Special Forces soldier appears and asks him if he wants to survive. When Shia answers yes, the man warns him that choosing life means enduring a brutal existence of battle that might make him wish he had died right there. As the soldier moves to save him, his subordinates protest, arguing that they are mid-mission and that grabbing a useless kid is just a liability. This enrages the man, who shouts back that he refuses to take orders from anyone weaker than himself. That moment marked the beginning of how Captain Guzu became Shia's adoptive father. Upon returning to their base, Guzu hands Shia a revolver, declaring that it now belongs to him. He tells the boy that he must live by the gun and die by the gun, though he notes that death isn't coming for Shia anytime soon. Guzu then provides him with a meal and water, casually mentioning that once he's finished eating, he will become a warrior, which shocks the boy. After the meal, Guzu explains his ambitious plan to train Shia relentlessly, aiming to forge him into a complete soldier in just 5 years. Guzu is a combat expert who leads guerrilla operations all across the globe. True to his word, Guzu immediately subjects Shia to a variety of grueling training regimens. He instructs him in martial arts and teaches him the mechanics of every type of weapon imaginable. Before long, Shia grows so powerful that nobody in the unit dares to look down on him anymore. During a training session with his father figure one day, Shia drops a wild boar with a single sniper shot and hauls it back to camp. Seeing this feat, the other soldiers are stunned by his raw talent, especially considering he is only 10 years old. Some even whisper that his potential might exceed the captain's, a man rumored to be capable of shooting out a deer's eye from a kilometer away. 12 years later, inside an enemy encampment, operatives are discussing the arrival of a dangerous mercenary known as Crimson. Rumor has it that Crimson is such an elite sniper that he can hit a mosquito's left eye from 2 kilometers out. Facing an opponent like that, they realize they are likely doomed. One skeptic among them dismisses the stories as impossible, but reality strikes a moment later. Out of nowhere, a bullet pierces his skull, sending the entire camp into absolute chaos. Since they are deep within their own territory, they assume infiltration should be impossible. Suddenly, another shot rings out, and this time, their general drops dead. Meanwhile, Crimson, who is actually Shia, is relaxing on a faraway skyscraper while he dismantles the camp. His contract was to eliminate the general and inflict maximum casualties for a payout of 50,000. As he prepares to leave and report back, a nearby enemy squad spots him and rushes his position. He is forced to draw his revolver to handle the incoming threat. Seeing him armed only with a handgun, the soldiers mock him, calling him an amateur. However, they are unaware of the 3 distinct advantages a revolver holds over modern weapons. First, it never jams. Second, it fires high-caliber rounds with immense penetration power. And third, it is blessed by the goddess of the battlefield. With just 3 precise shots, Shia proves his superiority and wipes out the squad. Moments later, Guzu arrives in a chopper to extract him. On board, Guzu praises him for taking out his 3rd general of the war, but then drops the news of a new assignment in Japan. Naturally, Shia assumes this will be a high-profile assassination, perhaps targeting the Prime Minister. But the old man cuts him off, revealing that his new job is to teach at a prestigious high school. Since Shia is fluent in 5 languages, his cover will be infiltrating the school as an English teacher. Soon after, he receives a fake ID with his new undercover identity. He boards a flight to Japan, wondering what sort of challenges await him this time. Upon arrival, Shia visits a convenience store to grab a bite to eat. He is genuinely impressed by the flavor, the clean packaging, and especially the low price. However, what stands out most to him is the overwhelming peace of the city. Everywhere he looks, he sees people enjoying dates, picnics, and leisure time. He finds himself wondering what kind of mission requires his skills in such a tranquil nation. After his meal, Shia makes his way to the safe house provided for him. He arrives at a high-end residential district and is impressed by his apartment located in a skyscraper. Conveniently, the apartment is located very close to the school where he will be teaching. As he enters, Shia senses something off, but he calmly sits down anyway. Suddenly, an attacker rushes him from behind wielding a knife. Relying on his heightened senses, Shia detects the threat instantly. He grabs a water bottle and hurls it at the assailant to block his vision. He follows up with a direct punch to the face, catching the man off guard. The man persists and swings again, but Shia effortlessly dodges and disarms him. Witnessing this physical prowess firsthand, the attacker confirms that this is indeed the legendary Crimson. Shia grabs him by the throat and demands his identity. The man surrenders, admitting he was arrogant to think he could take down Crimson solo. Shia arrogantly advises him to bring a 5-man team next time. Just then, a young woman appears behind him, aiming a pistol at his head and ordering him to freeze. Unfazed, Shia casually informs her that the hammer is in a split second. He spins around and grabs the gun cylinder, advising her to be more careful. She thanks him for the advice, but notes she won't need it, as they are only there to provide backup. They introduce themselves as Ulheim and Malene. Ulheim will infiltrate the school as an art teacher to support Shia and help him adjust to civilian culture. Meanwhile, Malene will enroll as a student to provide support from within the student body. Shia reveals he sensed them the moment he entered and was just testing their capabilities. He asks if their attack was intentionally weak to test him, which crushes their egos since they were actually trying their hardest. When asked for questions, Shia offends Malene by asking how a woman in her 20s plans to pass as a teenager. She retorts that her flawless skin allows her to blend in perfectly with high school girls. Ulheim tells her to stop bragging, which only annoys her further. The pair then sits Shia down to brief him on the mission. Details. Their objective is to protect Sakurako Kujo, a student and the daughter of a major military corporation's president. This hidden Japanese corporation is famous for manufacturing everything from rockets to bullets. The company allegedly uses neighboring nations to bypass export laws, which was tolerated when supplies went to the West. However, reports suggest President Kujo has begun selling to communist factions, risking global stability. With international organizations watching, enemies will likely target his daughter to use as leverage. This is why an elite operative like Shia has been hired to guard her against these unseen threats. Shia is also expected to charm Sakurako to gain intel on the exports, a tall order since he has 0 romantic skills. Malene suggests his cool, mysterious vibe might be enough to make her fall for him naturally. The next day, acting on intelligence, Shia boards a bus where he spots Sakurako. As the bus moves, he notices her behaving oddly and assumes she might be sick with a virus. He contacts his team via a hidden earpiece to ask if he should send her home, but they remind him he is a stranger to her. Ulheim, watching via drone, clarifies that she isn't sick, she is embarrassed. It turns out she is being harassed by an older pervert standing behind her. Shia realizes that dealing with this falls under his protection duties. The harasser escalates his assault, moving his hands inappropriately. Shia steps in immediately, acting as the savior Sakurako needed. He grips the man's arm and twists it to the breaking point, eliciting a scream of agony. After scolding the offender, Sakurako thanks Shia, who dismisses it casually. He advises her to fight back next time, noting that help isn't guaranteed on a battlefield. Awkward phrasing, his team wonders if he has ever actually spoken to a girl before. When the bus stops, the pervert bolts out the door to escape. Shia gives chase and corners him in a deserted alleyway. Realizing he is trapped, the man pulls a stun gun and threatens Shia. Before the man can react, Shia grabs his wrist and slams him into the pavement. He then instructs Ulheim to call the police. Ulheim hesitates, worried about their cover, but Shia reminds him that he is an assassin who finishes the job. After resolving the incident, Shia finally reaches the school, realizing he is very late. The police questioning took a long time, so the delay was unavoidable. Ulheim tells him to report to the principal, but is shocked to learn Shia doesn't know what a principal is. Having grown up with gorillas, he never experienced formal schooling. Malene, sitting in her classroom, explains over the comms that a principal is essentially the school's colonel. Understanding the rank now, Shia realizes the importance of the role. He hurries to the office to make his official introduction. Upon entering, he is confused because the man doesn't look like a military commander at all. The principal greets him warmly and compliments his appearance. As Shia analyzes the man's potential combat skills, the principal reaches into his pocket. Assuming it's a weapon, Shia instinctively reaches for his gun. Fortunately, his team yells at him to stop before he causes a disaster. The principal simply pulls out a business card and offers it to him. Shia accepts the card as the principal formally introduces himself. Shia apologizes for his tardiness, but the principal waves it off. Shia is stunned by this mercy, noting that in the army, such lateness would result in a court-martial. The principal explains that the police informed him about Shia stopping the molester. Instead of punishment, he praises Shia for his bravery. He assigns Shia as the assistant homeroom teacher for Class 2B, the same class as Sakurako and Malene. As he leaves, Shia accidentally calls the principal Colonel, confusing the old man. Walking to the classroom, Ulheim confirms that Shia is only carrying his revolver. Arriving at the door, Malene tells him to enter and act like a proper teacher. Shia opens the door, ready to face his most difficult challenge yet, high school students. As he walks in, he instantly grabs everyone's attention. The girls are mesmerized by his looks, while the boys are disappointed that their new teacher isn't a woman. The girls immediately barrage him with personal questions about his diet and dating life. Malene expected him to be popular, but the intensity of the reaction surprises even her. Luckily, the target, Sakurako, is among those fascinated by him. Malene notices this and advises him via headset to use this attraction to their advantage. First, however, Shia must complete his introduction. He addresses the class in a calm voice, stating he is the new assistant homeroom and English teacher. He also specifically mentions that he speaks 5 languages and invites anyone interested in learning to visit him during the break. As predicted, the girls are totally charmed and vocalize just how much they like him. Meanwhile, a male student with a massive crush on Sakurako is seething with jealousy as he watches her blush at the hot new teacher. The homeroom teacher is also impressed by Shia's credentials. When she asks about his hobbies, Shia immediately thinks of sniping, but knows he can't say that aloud. Instead, he claims his main hobby is weight training, which only piques the student's interest further. However, that one jealous male student is fuming. He had previously told the class his hobby was weight training, only to be laughed at. Watching them fawn over the teacher for the same thing is too much for him to handle. He crumples a large piece of paper and hurls it at Shia with full force, hoping to ruin his cool image. To his shock, Shia, who had already turned his back, catches the paper right before it hits his head. He casually drops it into the trash can without looking, causing the girls to swoon even harder. During the break, the girls scour the school looking for Shia, but can't find him anywhere. Sakurako is also searching for him, wanting to discuss something personal. When Malene realizes this, she radios Ulheim to ask if he has eyes on Shia, as she can't locate him either. After a quick search, Ulheim finds him, but the situation isn't exactly peaceful, so he alerts Malene. They both rush to the scene to see what is happening. Behind one of the school buildings, Shia has met up with the student who asked to speak with him about Sakurako. Seeing the student holding a baseball bat, Shia is confused and asks if the boy is in the baseball club. Annoyed, the student retorts that he is in the Go Home Club. Clueless as always, Shia asks if that is a real club, which only drains the student's patience further. The boy finally admits he hates Shia because of the way Sakurako looks at him. Shia replies that he can't control how she sees him and turns to leave, stating he has no interest in playing baseball. Snapping, the student charges at him with the bat, shouting that he intends to bash Shia's head in. As he takes the first swing, Shia dodges effortlessly, noting he is out of range. The student attacks again furiously, but Shia continues to evade while lecturing him on proper swing mechanics. Eventually, Shia tires of the game and knocks the student out with a gentle palm strike to the forehead. Ulheim and Malene arrive just in time to see the unconscious boy, shocked that Shia has beaten up a student on his very first day. Shia then hoists the unconscious boy onto his shoulder and carries him toward the infirmary. Walking through the halls, the other students are stunned by the sight. Some recognize the unconscious boy as the class delinquent and assume he got hurt goofing around, while the girls are more focused on the hot teacher carrying him. Ulheim and Malene try to manage the optics, telling everyone the delinquent just slipped and fainted. Once they reach the clinic and lay the boy on the bed, Malene asks if Shia realizes the mess he has created. Shia compares it to the time he tried to fight his father figure and got beaten, showing just how detached he is from normal life. Suddenly, the school nurse, an old man, rushes in with the principal, both out of breath. They had heard reports from students and came to investigate. Malene quickly lies, claiming the student slipped on a banana peel and hit his head. She explains that Shia found him and kindly carried him to the clinic. The nurse isn't buying it, stating the injury doesn't look like a slip. He launches into a boring speech about his 40 years of nursing experience and his black belt in karate. He concludes that the boy was hit with a palm strike and directly accuses Shia, noting he looks like a martial artist. The principal is shocked by the accusation, but waits for Shia's denial. The nurse presses on, demanding a confession before the student wakes up. Malene whispers to Shia via comms that this is serious, and he could be fired if the truth comes out. Shia remains calm, assuring her it won't be a big deal because he can protect the target even if he loses the job. Suddenly, the student wakes up screaming, checking if he is still alive. He recognizes the clinic and realizes he is safe. When the nurse asks if Shia attacked him, the delinquent considers snitching but decides to stay silent. The nurse interprets this silence as fear and moves to call the police to report an assault. Surprisingly, the student stops him, insisting he just fell and that they shouldn't make a scene. The nurse pushes back, convinced he is lying, but the student snaps, calling him a toothless geezer and telling him to mind his business. Predictably, the nurse's anger shifts from the assault to the student's disrespect. As the delinquent walks past Shia, he whispers a threat that he will make him pay. Thanks to the delinquent's attitude, the team manages to leave without punishment. As they walk away, Shia casually notes that delinquents are like mercenaries when it comes to protecting their reputation. He gambled on the fact that the boy wouldn't want anyone to know he got easily beaten by a new teacher. Ulheim and Meline are impressed, realizing Shia is smarter than the average mercenary. The team resumes their mission to protect the princess. Meline makes a corny joke comparing them to the Mario Brothers, but Shia completely misses the reference. Meanwhile, a suspicious student is stalking Sakurako, thinking that capturing her will give him the world. The team spots Sakurako changing her shoes at the lockers, signaling she is heading home. Ulheim questions the Japanese custom of changing shoes when cleaners exist, but Meline mocks his ignorance, leading to a bickering match. As Sakurako leaves, Shia freezes and orders his team to stop. He points out that while everyone else is leaving, one student is lingering in the locker room right behind Sakurako's locker. The student is setting up a peephole to take illicit photos of her. As Shia prepares to confront him, the creepy student picks up her indoor shoes and begins sniffing them intensely. Although Sakurako is unaware, the team realizes what is happening and tells Shia to leave him alone. They explain he is just a hentai, a pervert. Despite the word being global, Shia has no idea what it means. As the student sniffs the shoes, fantasizing about Sakurako as a dominatrix, Ulheim explains to a confused Shia that some people get pleasure from stealing items to fuel their fantasies. Shia refuses to believe anyone is that weird and insists the boy has a sinister motive. He decides to interrogate him personally. Meline worries, but Ulheim tells her to let Shia learn about the world the hard way. He instructs her to go befriend Sakurako while he manages Shia. As the creepy student walks home looking at his stolen photos, Shia appears in disguise, puts a bag over his head, and drags him to an abandoned warehouse. Strapping him to a chair, Shia interrogates him, demanding to know which organization hired him while threatening him with a shard of glass. The boy is clueless, so Shia rattles off names of secret organizations, warning that he has killed elite agents before. Terrified, the boy insists he isn't trying to harm her. Shia doesn't buy it, accusing him of planting poison or explosives in her shoes. The boy cries that civilians can't get those things in Japan. Shia decides to escalate, threatening to peel the skin off his neck to test his resolve. He claims that if the boy flinches, he is an enemy agent, but if he endures it, he is a high-guts agent. The boy, already terrified, panics even more. Shia fakes an attack, causing the boy to wet himself and pass out. Satisfied, Shia confirms the boy is not an agent. Ulheim enters, thanking Shia for not actually hurting the kid. They dump the unconscious student at a bus stop and leave. They head back to protect Sakurako. Meanwhile, Meline catches up to Sakurako, pretending to walk the same way. Unbeknownst to them, a professional sniper is watching, waiting for a clear shot at Sakurako. Seeing Meline approach, the sniper holds his fire to avoid messing up the hit. Oblivious, Meline chats with Sakurako about makeup, introducing herself as a foreign student studying in Japan. When Meline hears that Japanese schools ban makeup, she gets annoyed and criticizes the strict school system. She compares it to overseas schools where students have the freedom to dress how they want and even smoke. Sakurako is stunned to learn about the liberty students have elsewhere. Unaware of her surroundings, she steps too close to the edge of the walkway, loses her balance, and nearly falls into the road just as a car speeds by. Thankfully, Ulheim appears just in time and pulls her back to safety. In the process, he gets soaked by a puddle splashed by the passing car, but he dismisses it, caring only that Sakurako is safe. Shocked, Sakurako thanks him and apologizes for ruining his shirt. To her surprise, Ulheim winks and calls her a princess who almost dirtied her clothes. Sakurako quickly denies being a princess, but Ulheim insists that all women are princesses by divine decree. He takes her hand and attempts to kiss it, but Meline, having watched him simp over Sakurako, snaps and knocks him out with a move straight out of Street Fighter. She scolds him immediately, reminding him that kissing hands isn't culturally acceptable in Japan. She insults his background, and the two start arguing furiously. Watching them bicker, Sakurako remarks that they are a funny pair who fight like siblings. The assassins then confer privately, and Meline learns from Ulheim that someone had just targeted Sakurako. Meanwhile, on a nearby rooftop, a sniper has his sights locked on Sakurako, but before he can fire, Shia appears and kills him instantly. Shia wonders who these attackers are and if their goal is to capture her. Later that night, in Sakurako's room, her maid, Kane, notices her sighing repeatedly and asks what is wrong. Sakurako gets flustered, but Kane reminds her to address her by name as her father instructed. Sakurako complies, calming the maid down. Kane then reminds her to remember her pride as a daughter of the Kujo family, a noble lineage dating back to the Heian era. After the lecture, Sakurako asks Kane if she has ever been in love. It takes Kane a moment to understand, but she then discusses how being part of the Kujo household complicates relationships. Sakurako denies being in love, but Kane assures her there is no rule against loving a commoner. Kane emphasizes that despite being a maid, she is a woman first and an ally to all women in love. She pinky promises to support Sakurako's decision. Sakurako is relieved to have an ally, missing the part where Kane assumes the man in question is a reasonable gentleman. The gentleman in question is currently firing shots at practice dummies, hitting every bullseye. Malene notices the shots are grouped to the left and asks why it's still called a bullseye. Ulheim shows her an anatomy chart, explaining that the human heart is on the left. Embarrassed, she insults Ulheim for showing off. Ulheim praises Shia, claiming he could win Olympic gold with his skills. Shia dismisses the Olympics as an amateur competition beneath a pro like him. He then asks Ulheim for intel on the enemy organization. Disappointed by Ulheim's lack of information, Shia questions his competence. Ulheim deflects to Malene, their intelligence specialist. Realizing she is on the spot, Malene admits she has used all her resources but found no leads. Shia points out that the enemy has enough resources to hire a professional sniper. He identifies the man he killed as a trained soldier and notes that sniper rifles aren't easy to smuggle into Japan. Reviewing photos of the weapon, he identifies its make, year, and country of origin. Ulheim suggests that if it were a Dragunov, they would know the culprit. Malene pulls out an axe, calling him an idiot for thinking someone would walk the streets with such a recognizable weapon. They conclude they can't identify the organization based on the weapon alone and must wait for the enemy to make the next move. Shia checks the CCTV, instructing his team to maintain guard and wait for orders from the last boss. They agree, but Ulheim freaks out when he sees Sakurako changing clothes on the monitor. He ogles her, thanking his luck, until the screen abruptly cuts to black. He turns to see Malene holding a pistol, glaring at him. When he tries to calm her, she claims she is practicing her marksmanship and fires, forcing Ulheim to dodge for his life. While they mess around, Shia reflects on the vague mission his adoptive father gave him. Unlike previous missions with clear objectives, this one is ambiguous. He wonders if protecting Sakurako is truly the only goal, or if there is something more. Elsewhere, a military squad celebrates a successful mission. One soldier finds their commander, the last boss, staring at the sky. The commander muses about whether the night sky he is watching connects to Japan. That night, Shia dreams of his past, remembering how his adoptive father saved him from death and trained him into a pro. By adulthood, Shia earned the name Crimson for the blood he spilled. He dominated battlefields with crimson flames, but now fears those same flames might consume him. The next morning, he wakes up naked and starts a light workout. Unfortunately, Ulheim walks in without knocking and gets an eyeful. Traumatized, Ulheim jokes that he needs dates with 6 women to cleanse his vision. As Shia dresses, he asks if Ulheim is good at such missions, and Ulheim brags about his speed. Shia asks why Ulheim came in, and Ulheim hugs him, admitting he was worried about how Shia was adjusting to the peace of Japan compared to war. He urges Shia to have breakfast before school. Shia agrees and heads to school shortly after. In class, he reads an English novel, and the female students swoon. Malene notes how red Sakurako's face is, calling her cute. Meanwhile, a male student named Hideki is furious at Shia for monopolizing the girl's attention. He wishes he were popular, claiming he values purity over looks. Coincidentally, Fuse is also glaring at the teacher, while Sakurako watches him with admiration. Later in the restroom, Hideki approaches the hostile Fuse and offers an alliance. Confused, Fuse reminds him he is a loner, but Hideki tempts him with his wealth. Hideki proposes that if they combine forces, he can pay delinquents to beat Shia up. Fuse loves the idea, and they shake hands. Fuse immediately contacts delinquents across the city, promising payment. They rush over in their vehicles, excited for the job. The next day, as Sakurako walks to school, students admire her beauty. Nearby, in a parked bus, Ulheim and Malene monitor her via drone. Ulheim praises her beauty, and even Malene grudgingly admits Sakurako is out of her league. Although Malene hopes her grammar skills give her an edge, Ulheim bursts her bubble, nearly starting another fight. Confused, Ulheim asks why Sakurako walks alone instead of being chauffeured. Malene reminds him that guarding her is literally their job. Ulheim argues that powerful people usually have entourages. Malene explains that the school, Otori, forbids students from commuting by car to promote equality and independence. The school motto is self-reliance, forcing rich students to learn from commoners. She adds that Sakurako's father wanted her in an all-girls school, but she insisted on attending Otori. Watching her walk, Ulheim notes she captivates every man, and Malene adds that Shia has the same effect. They watch Shia walk to school, surrounded by fawning girls. Ulheim remarks they would make a royal couple in another era. Malene agrees, but notes that trouble always follows when a prince and princess fall in love. She tells Ulheim to pan the camera ahead of Shia, revealing Fuse and a gang of delinquents blocking the path. Fuse greets Shia mockingly, but Shia replies casually. Fuse gets annoyed but remains an obstacle. Watching via drone, the team calls Fuse a caveman for bringing backup after losing a one-on-one fight. Ulheim notes that numbers don't matter against the legendary Crimson. Shia removes his tie and asks Fuse to go somewhere quiet. Fuse agrees, leading them to the riverbank. There, Fuse cockily points out they outnumber Shia 20-1. He offers Shia the chance to cry and apologize to be spared. Surprisingly, Shia offers them the same deal, saying he wishes they wouldn't fight since he is their teacher. They laugh, mocking his math skills. Fuse orders the attack. The delinquents rush him, but Shia dismantles them effortlessly. The remaining thugs are terrified as he knocks down their comrades, calling him inhuman. Shia assures them he is human, just trained on the battlefield. As he drops more of them, the others panic, screaming they weren't warned about his strength. Fuse yells at them for failing and orders the bikers to run Shia over. One delinquent charges his bike at the teacher. Shockingly, Shia steps onto the moving bike and kicks the rider off like a soccer ball. He then takes the bike for himself. Fuse loses his temper and orders another attack, but Shia drives straight at him like a bull, stopping inches from his face. Fuse falls to the ground in terror, but tries to act tough. Shia advises him to thank the bike's braking system. He asks if they still want to fight. The delinquents wisely decide to flee, bidding Fuse farewell. Fuse is shocked and calls them cowards. The remaining boys advise Fuse to give up, noting they never stood a chance. Frustrated, Fuse yells at Shia, calling him a fighter. Shia calmly asks what Fuse wants. Fuse admits Shia can fight, but asks if he has guts. He challenges Shia to a chicken race. The game involves driving towards a wall. The first person to break loses. Malene is furious that Shia agreed to such a stupid game. She connects to his earpiece, asking if he is serious. She asks if he is dumb, suggesting he should just beat them up. She asks what happens if he loses. Shia plans to cross that bridge when he gets there. With that, Shia disconnects the audio. Malene yells at Ulheim, furious that Shia has violated orders and worries about what their boss will say. She demands Ulheim turn the audio back on, but to her surprise, he refuses. She snaps, hitting him for being stupid, but Ulheim insists that Shia never loses. He recalls the day Shia knocked out Fuse. After carrying the boy to the infirmary, Ulheim asked why Shia was being so nice. Shia explained that during his time in the South American jungles, a very young soldier joined his unit to feed his family. Shia grew close to the boy and taught him Japanese, but the day after learning to say goodbye, the boy was killed in action. Shia decided to help Fuse because he resembled that fallen soldier. Watching Shia smile despite Fuse's trash talk, Ulheim notes that Shia might be better suited as a teacher than a mercenary. As rain begins to fall, the referee announces the race will start when the empty can he throws hits the ground. Malene has a bad feeling, but Ulheim reassures her, saying Shia is a teacher now. She argues he is just a legendary mercenary, but Ulheim counters that he might become a legendary teacher. The can hits the ground, and the riders take off. Shia accelerates faster than Fuse, speeding towards the wall without hesitation. Fuse's henchmen worry as he also picks up speed. Malene panics, realizing that at this pace, hitting the wall will kill Fuse. Ulheim praises Fuse's guts, but Malene worries that if Fuse dies, Shia's teaching career ends. Ulheim says that would only happen if Shia abandoned the boy, which he won't. As the wall looms closer, Shia glances at Fuse, realizing the boy is risking his life just to save face. At the last second, terror overtakes Fuse and he slams on the brakes to avoid being crushed. Immediately, Shia leaps off his bike, acting as a human shield to protect Fuse as they crash. The bikes slam into the wall, but Shia takes the impact, sustaining a forehead injury. He immediately asks Fuse if he is okay. Fuse wakes up unhurt and realizes Shia saved him. Seeing the boy is safe, Shia turns to leave. Confused, Fuse asks why Shia saved him when he should have left him alone. Shia realizes Fuse acts out because he is lonely. Fuse grits his teeth, telling Shia not to pity him, recalling how his parents neglected him, forcing him to survive alone. Shia tells him that in his world, children are never left alone because they are valuable assets. He explains that while he comes from a place where life is cheap, Fuse's isolation is a problem he can fix. Shia extends a hand, shocking the boy with his concern. He tells Fuse he isn't alone anymore. If he needs to vent or fight, Shia will take him on any time. Fuse bursts into tears and shakes Shia's hand. Malene admits she is amazed by Shia's hot-bloodedness, agreeing with Ulheim that Shia is acting in character. As they leave the riverbank, Fuse confirms Shia is new to town and offers to help him with anything he needs. Shia agrees using military jargon that confuses the boy. Malene realizes her organization now has to clean up the mess Shia and Fuse created, and worse, she is in charge of it. As the group heads back, Hideki watches from a distance, cursing Fuse for being a coward. He vows to get Shia expelled. A few days later, Hideki is in his room, hugging and trying to kiss a portrait of Sakurako. Suddenly, his housemates enter to clean, catching him in the act. Embarrassed, he covers the portrait and yells at them, threatening to fire them. He kicks the old ladies out. As they leave, they chat about how the master of the house would be angry if Hideki's room wasn't cleaned, but another maid notes the father is always busy or at his villa polishing his favorite vase. Indeed, Hideki's father is currently admiring his Kakimon vase, a national treasure. The maids are fed up with Hideki, who is spoiled and treats them poorly. Hideki insults them, calling them low lives. They glare at him, vowing to raise their own children better. A week later, Sakurako plays piano in class to applause. Ulheim and Malene confirm everything is peaceful since the sniper incident. Malene asks where Shia is, and Ulheim reports he is being chewed out by the principal. At the office, Principal Tazaki tells Shia there is a troubling case against him. Shia stands rigidly at attention. Tazaki shows him photos of the fight with the delinquents. Shia dismisses it as an extracurricular lesson. But Tazaki reveals the photos were sent to the PTA. Shia mistakes PTA for a version of NATO, but Tazaki explains it is the Parent-Teacher Association, warning him that the PTA currently holds more power than the principal. This news hits Shia hard. The man he viewed as a colonel is powerless against this group. Tazaki mentions the PTA president, Mrs. Ushima, is the wife of a powerful politician. He shows Shia a letter circulating that demands his dismissal, threatening to leak the fight. Video online. Realizing this endangers his mission, Shia decides to investigate. He knows Fuse wouldn't snitch, so he suspects a third party organized the delinquents. He assures the principal he will solve it. Shia relays this to his team. Meanwhile, Mrs. Ushima circulates the incriminating photos with Shia's eyes censored. Ulheim asks Shia for his plan, noting how relaxed he looks. Malene is skeptical. Shia refers to the PTA as the academic NATO, prompting his team to realize he still doesn't understand what it is. Ulheim explains the PTA is an auditing body for school order. Shia relaxes, claiming he is on the side of order since he was providing educational guidance. Malene argues that the injuries make it look bad, warning him this isn't a TV drama. Ulheim suggests they just need to create Shia's era. Malene reveals she has found the culprit, Hideki Mogi, the rich student who set up the trap because he is jealous of Shia's popularity with Sakurako. Ulheim notes they can't just beat up a rich kid like a normal delinquent. Shia reads the report and confidently states he can solve the problem in a day or two. That evening, Hideki confronts Fuse for failing to eliminate Shia. He is angry Fuse is now loyal to the teacher. Fuse defends Shia, which infuriates Hideki. Hideki shows Fuse the article he published, claiming Shia will be fired soon. Fuse tells Hideki talking to him is pointless, but hopes he changes someday so they can hang out at the arcade. Hideki stomps his foot, calling Fuse a pauper after his wallet. Alone, Hideki gloats that everyone dances to his tune because of his money and vows to make Shia suffer. Later that night, the three agents drive through the city in disguise with a bound and gagged Hideki in the back seat.